What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Liquid Lunch Project. I am Matthew R. Meehan, alongside with my partner today, Luigi Rosabianca, the professor. And we're solo on this one. It's March, guys, which means it's brackets, bold predictions, and people arguing about reputations like it really matters. So we figured, why should sports fans have all the fun? Today, we're doing Founder Madness, and we're talking about traits every entrepreneur swears by that argue which ones are better, and we're putting them all in brackets.
Speaking of brackets, Matt, I got to go for my St. John's Redmen being the Cinderella team for this year's March Madness. But on a different note, these are the four brackets: discipline versus motivation, vision versus execution, speed versus strategy, branding versus operations. Four matchups, they're going head to head. Each round, we're going to pick a winner and defend our choice. We're not looking for the perfect founder. We're figuring out which traits actually survive when the pressure is on. When things get hot and things get stressful, those are the businesses that survive. Let's tip it off.
All right. First matchup we have, Lou, is discipline versus motivation. Now, this is a question for all founders out there, right? What matters most? If your company hits a 12-month slump, which actually gets you through it? Discipline or motivation? What's your take?
Matt, I'm going to have to go with discipline. You know, sometimes showing up is 90% of the battle. You know, getting in every morning, putting the hours in, making the phone calls, doing the follow-ups. I think discipline gets you through a slump.
Listen, I totally agree with you. You know, I think motivation can get you unstuck and gets you going again, but I definitely believe discipline is what keeps you going, and staying consistent will keep you growing.
Here's the question, though. How do you stay motivated when you're in the muck and you're in the weeds, right? How do you do it, Matt?
How do I do it? You gotta get out there. You gotta go to the gym. You gotta keep yourself active and keep looking forward at the end of the day. I mean, look, motivation's great. We all love motivational videos. We all love going to seminars, getting the rah-rah. We're going to kill it. But 9 out of 10 people that go to a seminar don't do anything the next day, right? So it's a matter of, it's a balance, really, of discipline.
It's the implementation of what motivates you. Matt, let me ask you this. Let's end this round on one last question. If you can get our team to copy one of your traits, one of your strengths, which would it be?
You know, I think the number one trait that I would have the team copy, and it took me a long time to get this way, is when you get knocked down, just get back up, right? I definitely believe every entrepreneur, founder needs to have this trait no matter what. Listen, we walk in the morning, we feel great. By 12 o'clock, we got knocked on our ass 3 times. The key trait here is resiliency. When you get knocked down, you got to get back up and you got to keep moving forward. The past is in the past, and the present, you need to stay focused on where you're going.
Matchup number 2, the second bracket. What kills more businesses? Thinking too big or not finishing what you started?
Oh, you're going to be surprised on my answer on this one. It's definitely going to be not finishing what you started, right? So many times we see owners of companies that they get a product, right? They get 1,000 customers for that product, and they think they have to launch a new product rather than going out and getting another 2 to 3 to 4, 5,000 customers to focus on that one area. You know, we always think we need to add new products, new services, but what we don't realize is by building that first 1,000 clients, we're doing one thing and getting really good at one thing. So until we have a huge client base, we don't probably need to go out and have a different vision for the company.
Yeah, on that note, Matt, I also want to refine one note here, that sometimes we can fall in love with one of our products, one of our ideas or services, right? But the market doesn't. Right. So there you need to be able to pivot real quick. How many times over the last few years we came up with a service or a product that we said this is going to be absolute fantastic, and it was silence, right? The market just didn't like it. On the flip side,
No, I totally agree there. So you have to test the product. You have to give it enough time to test it, right? But you can't just bounce from one product to another. I think, in my opinion, enough time to test a product would be, a 90-day, 1 quarter period, right? To see where your results are, see if there's anything out there. I mean, even, what I see a lot of people doing right now, and it's really smart, especially since AI. I just read a story about a company that they created an app, right? They used AI to create the app. But before they even built the app and spent time and hired engineers, they made a video about the app. What this app allows you to do is shut down your phone. If you want to go on social media and you want to go on some, I don't know, death scrolling binge, you have to do 10 push-ups before, and you got to film yourself doing it on the app. Once you do your 10 push-ups, scroll all you want. But here's the thing, it's not the app, it's not the idea. What they did was extremely cool. They went out and they made a video of the app, hired a couple TikTok influencers, and it took off like wildfire. They sold it before the app was even created. And now they got tens of thousands of downloads. So they pre-sold a product that didn't even exist yet.
I say we do 10 push-ups before every podcast recording. I love it.
Let's go.
Bracket number 3. Here's the matchup. Speed versus strategy. Do we go fast and break things, or are we more like chess masters? What do you say, Matt?
Us personally, we move fast. Sometimes a little too fast, right? But I think that's the whole thing. It comes back to the vision and execution also, right? If you think there's something in the market, go to market as fast as possible, right? And if it doesn't work, pivot again, right? You got to pivot again. I think strategy is great, but I don't think you need strategy until you know you have a winning product.
Well, this goes back to what we said earlier. No matter how wonderful a founder or an entrepreneur may like their product or service, the market ultimately is always right. So the quicker you get it to market, the quicker you know what works and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to do is be very quick to respond to what the market says.
Agreed. And I think strategy will come along. I mean, if we're talking about launching a product, right? I think the strategy will. You can create a strategy out of the gate, but I'll tell you this: 9 times out of 10, you're not going to abide by that strategy. You're going to have a different strategy, and it's going to evolve over time, right? So I think showing the market and seeing if there's a need for that market, there's a need and a place in that market, is what matters most.
Now, Matt, there aren't a lot of nuanced, innovative products out there. Like everything is a result of something that came before, right? There's nothing really innovative. Like, oh my God, there's like, we invented the wheel, right? There's always an additional evolution of a prior product, right? So how does one create momentum behind something that everybody else is doing? Like, for example, we're doing small business loans. Well, so are 50 other companies in this country. What makes us different, and how can we stand head and shoulders above, just to give the audience an example?
By executing, right? So we're going back to one, right? If a lot of people say they're going to do a lot of things, but they don't wind up doing it. So they don't wind up executing on it. People talk a big game, right? But they don't follow through in the end. So I think it compounds on number one. I think in our space, right? First of all, our advantage is really, really clear. We don't have one product. We have multiple lending products. We have multiple institutions we work with, and we lend our own capital, which makes us be able to be a lot more creative on the deals that we do, right? So that in a whole makes us stand out head over shoulders. A lot of our industry is very fragmented. There's a lot of smaller companies out there. There's a lot of bigger companies, right? But the bigger companies only focus on, let's say, short-term lending, right? That's all they do. They will not go out there and they will not look and put your company into a more traditional 10-year term loan or a project financing. They only have one product. The fact that we have multiple products in the same vertical, actually, and we didn't launch them all at once, right? When we started this company, we only started with short-term lending, right? And then we launched as we got thousands and thousands of clients. we launched different products because we saw by speaking to our clients what the need in the market was and where the voids needed to be filled. Right. So I think it's reputation, right? And because of that, we were able to branch into different products and gain different relationships, not just with clients, but also with our lending relationships that we have with other institutions out there. So I think execution and sticking by your reputation, basically doing what you say you're going to do, sounds really simple. But how many people don't do that?
Sounds like a nice combination of both speed and strategy.
Exactly.
Which takes us to bracket number 4, branding versus operations. If you want a company that lasts 10 plus years, which one matters more, Matthew?
It's going to be operations. Definitely think it's going to be operations, right? Branding is great. You need branding. You kind of need both. But if the company is not operating soundly, it's gone. We could always reinvent the brand. We could change the name, right? But if we have a team that operates properly together, you could even reinvent the service, right? Operations is really where what holds companies together. I mean, there's companies out there that none of us have ever heard of before, and they're doing multi-billion dollars a year.
You know, let's use Coca-Cola as an example. Coca-Cola didn't always have a great brand, right? But what they did always have is a great network of bottlers and distributors. So their operations came before their brand. And then they realized, okay, there's other entrants into the market, so we have to create that brand. But I think the brand was built on the foundations of strong bottlers and distributors. So yes, operations.
You know, I'll take
works.
the other side of that one, right? What did Coca-Cola do great? What did they do? They're the biggest advertiser on the planet for years. We're talking since the 1800s. They were advertising everywhere. One of the smartest branding moves they made was, you know, forget about bottling soda. Before we were bottling soda, right? What were we going? We were going to pharmacies that were selling soda. So you know what Coca-Cola did, right? They went and they put a big sign, Jefferson's Pharmacy, with Coca-Cola right next to it, and they paid for that sign.
Okay, so let's use another example. Topo Chico, right, has become a really popular fizzy water over the last couple of years, right? Cool brand, you know, real trendy with the millennial generation. Fantastic. But now their source in Mexico, for numerous reasons about everything blowing up in Mexico, you can't get access to that spring water down there. So now there's no more Topo Chico. So no matter how good the brand is, their operations faltered. So now you can't buy Topo Chico for the rest of the year.
You know, I think they're both really important. This is really a tough one, you know? However, brand builds trust, but so does operations. If you order a product, you expect the product to get there on time, right? Now, if you're building a brand via social media, I click on your link, it takes 6 months for your product to get to me. When you told me it's going to be, 4 weeks, there's an issue there. I lose trust, right? But why did I lose trust? Because their operations were in order. Their branding was on point, but the operations wasn't there, right? They couldn't logistically get the product to us in time. However, strategic operations, on the other hand, if you can get the product in your company's hands, that's going to drive profitability, right? Because if you increase operations, you can drive higher margins. I don't know. Jury's out on this one, Lou. I think they're both equally important.
Well, one thing is for certain. If you're in business today, you've gone mad. Thus, March Madness. All right, let's bring it home, partner.
So here's what's interesting about this. We argued about discipline, vision, speed, branding, all of it, like it was life or death. But truth of the matter is, it all does matter, and it kind of is life or death. So at the end of the day, what we realized is it's not one magical trait that a founder has. You have to have a little bit of everything out there, or maybe not even have everything, but find somebody that complements you to what you're lacking.
Matt, a company is built on individuals. And if no two people are the same, no two businesses are the same. So while there are strengths and weaknesses, every business is unique. So you can succeed in ways that no one else has succeeded in the past, and you can succeed in copying something that someone else has done, just done it better. Right? That's the beauty of business in America.
Absolutely. Look, when things get hard, you lean somewhere, right? You either grind or you get inspired. You either plan or you move. You either polish the brand or tighten the margins, tighten the operations in the back end.
Going for a 3-pointer to end it. Swish.
Look, at the end of the day, you have to see where you're exposed, right? Build a team around you that can help you stay motivated, execute your vision, and keep operations and branding on point. That's because the trait that wins this season in business may not win the next one.
Let's go!